You're listening to the Encouragers Podcast Show.
Thank you for joining our Encouragers podcast today, where we touched on the New Zealand gun ban, as well as we talked about the death of Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace. A special guest next week on the 7th, and we have Tease from Reno, Nevada. We have a lot of great things coming forward with our podcast, and we are excited to have many new artists as well as entrepreneurs on our podcast.
Thanks for listening and tuning in, guys. This is Encouragers Podcast Show. This is our first show. I'm your host, Notice, and we have here Tech.
Yo, what's up?
Paul.
What up, what up?
And Joseph.
So what's going on, y'all?
And right now, Will, the fifth member of our Encourager Podcast Show, he's on the road at the moment. And we'll try to tune in and get with him a little bit later on in the show. But yeah, this is the season premiere, as you call it. We were talking about
March 31st.
March 31st. A lot of interesting things happened throughout the week. You know, all the news is out right now. The latest thing happened right now is Nipsey Hussle. He has been shot and killed in LA. But we're going to go ahead and talk about that, a little bit about that. And being that this is the first show, we're going to talk about, you know, who we are and how we came about to be. And I don't like to do all the talking. So I'm going to turn it over to Joe, and he's going to give a little bit of background. And Paul, he's going to give a little bit of background. Tech's going to add in some of his background of how we started. Just to start out, this has been a group text message group since late 2012, 2013, around there. But yeah, Joe, go ahead, take it away, man. Explain who we are.
So my name is Joe Talikiakau. I am originally from the Bay, but lived in Arizona for junior high and high school. Right now I'm married with 3 kids. I work as a information analyst for the government. One cool thing that I really liked about what Notice was talking about was we started it was just organic. We all were texting each other, and it just got to a point where each time each one of us would text each other, it would be something encouraging or something about each one of our lives that we were doing that kind of motivated each one of us to kind of just say, hey, good job, or kind of motivate each one of us. And then, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, maybe 6 or 9 months ago, someone in our little group chat was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did like a podcast or something like that, so we can kind of share, what it is that we're doing and kind of see, what could happen with it. So that's kind of my perspective of how things started.
That's what it was. Paul, what's your take on who we are and how we came about to be?
Just like you mentioned about the group text and how we just share with each other and motivate each other. Like, I was just realizing that basically what we are is like social media, but just like real close, It's like we share everything with each other. The good that's going on in our lives, the bad that's going on in our lives. We share information with each other. We encourage each other. We put each other up on game. And yeah, so basically I'm just realizing that what we are is just like any social media platform, but all mixed into one with just the 5 of us. So it's a lot more intimate. And the fact that it just picked up steam on its own, and here we are now, finally getting to expand and share the things that we share with each other and grow that platform for our people.
Yeah, pretty much it, man. It's cool thing is, like, we're all Tongan brothers, man. We all grew up, like, we're friends of friends. We all kind of like met around a circle in a way, the Kava circle. But yeah, Tech, what's your take on, like, what is kind of explain to the people like who we are?
Yeah, that's what we are. Like Notice was saying, we're just a group of friends that we just met from friends through friends. Like the way, I grew up in Reno with Notice, so I grew up with him. And the way I met Joseph was we met with some friends that were going to do some summer sales out in Minnesota, and it was the best time of our lives.
That's an understatement, Toko.
Why we hella laugh when you say that, though?
Gazebo crew.
But that's how I met Joe, and the way I met Paul was me and Notice was living in New York City, and we drove down to Philly to meet up with Paul and mix over there with him and his brothers. while he was
Hell
playing with the
yeah.
Eagles.
Hey, that was one of my
And
best memories right there.
and just like we all just met around the circle of the bowl, you know, drinking
Yeah.
some kava.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And then it just started from there, and then from there it went from texting. We started this text group, and we always supported each other and all that. And then next thing you know, here we are.
Yep, that's right. See, and you know, see, this is live, right? So we're doing this. We're doing this right now. Paul's dealing with his kids. They're Paul, Joe, and Will are both married, and they have kids. And this is real right here. Like kids come in, they have questions. Paul has to go and attend with them. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's when we drove up to Philadelphia. That's when we knew that we found out that there were statues built of Paul
Right next to Rocky.
right next to Rocky. There were
Actually, Paul's statue took Rocky's place on top of the stairs.
Yes, that is yes. He was there with Finucane Tupou. They're playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. Just I don't know. You know, we'll get into our backgrounds a little bit, but Paul was drafted out to Philadelphia for his first leg of his NFL career. So we drove down there, like Tech was saying, and we met up with. That's when we met Finucane Tupou, right?
Yeah.
And then he had statues built around Philadelphia too. Man, that's
It was on. I think his statue was on top of a building.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And then they treated us to what? Philly cheesesteak. Well, we had some Philly cheesesteak out there.
Yeah. Yep, that was the real Thanos right there. Remember when who was it, slammed the door on his hand and it didn't even faze him? Yo, man, that was crazy. Well, it was me that slammed the door on his hand. Well, my bad, Fanuc, if you listening, my bad. I was faded.
Oh my god.
Hey, but my man didn't even budge, bro.
Man.
For real, he didn't even make a noise?
No, hey, Joe, I was sitting in the front and I went to close the door because we was all packing into this minivan.
Yeah.
And I couldn't shut the door all the way. And my man was just like, he didn't even flinch, didn't even blink or nothing. And I looked when the door was jammed, I opened it and his hand was right there. And he's like, he just like looked at me and he's like, my hand, like hella calm. And I'm over here hella just slamming the door, trying to shut it because it's hella cold. And I'm trying to hop in the van so we can go get cheesesteak. And this dude is just like, hey, my hand. I'm like, whoa.
Oh my goodness, that's freaking hilarious.
I'd like to thank you again for listening, tuning in to the Encouragers podcast show. My name is Notice. We have Tech.
Yo.
We have Paul.
What up?
We have Joseph. And we'll be contacting Will here, the fifth member of the Encourager show. Okay, so now we're going to talk about a little bit about ourselves and give a background of each of us. There's 5 of us in this podcast, and we're going to explain who we are. First one up is Joseph. Joseph, go ahead and tell a little bit about who you are and introduce yourself to our listeners.
Okay.
Again.
Okay, my name is Tuliki Akal. All right, let me start. I just realized that after you did, I was like, damn, did I really just introduce myself already and then do it again?
Yeah, you did a soft introduction and then you talked about the show.
Man, penalty cut for you.
I know, for real.
Man.
Oh, okay, all right, woo, all right.
Paul's going to be called
out. Are you mixing or? It's like the more I drink, the more faded you guys get.
Oh,
all right. My name is Joseph Tuliki Akal. I'm originally from Millbrae, California. I am married, 3 kids. I work out here in the Kansas City, Missouri area as an analyst, and I'm excited for this podcast. There we go.
Cool. And you're originally from Mesa, Arizona, or California?
Millbrae, California.
Garden Lane, Joe?
Aviador, baby.
Okay. I'm already knowing.
Oh my goodness! Right next to the Flamingo Apartments. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
They go
Yep.
outside.
Yeah, I know
Oh.
exactly where that's at. That's where I went to school.
Oh, Millbrae High, man.
Yeah.
Right on, Joe. So next up, we have Paul Fanica, another member of the Fab Five in our podcast show. So go ahead, Paul, introduce yourself to our listeners. Who are you?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Paul Fanica. I'm originally from the Bay Area, San Francisco. Grew up out there. Came to school at Arizona State University, and played football there. And during my time there is when I met Will. We were roommates and noticed we were roommates. And found out I was related to Notice, distant relatives, but related. And continued to play football and was able to play professionally in the NFL for 7 years. And now I'm retired. I live in Phoenix, and I'm married and just living the family life and enjoying my kids.
Right on, Paul. Nice to meet you. And a little bit about Paul. He's a sneakerhead. I don't know if you'll be able to see the video portion of this, but behind Paul is a stack of shoes. So this guy is a major sneakerhead. If you follow him on Instagram, you'll know that he's all about sneakers and he loves collecting sneakers. So just don't give out your address before we come and raid your house.
Oh yeah, the shoes gotta be fresh. That's a must.
Right on, Paul. Okay, another member of our Fab Five. We can go ahead and slide over to Tech. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners.
Yeah, what's up, listeners? My name's Tech. I'm from Reno, Nevada. Grew up there, and then I live out here in Utah. Most of my background is in music and video and film. So, and that's pretty much it.
Tech's a humble guy. He does hunting. I don't know. Tell him a little bit about your hunting background, Tech.
Oh yeah, out here in Utah.
Yeah.
It gets kind of boring out here in Utah, so you got to start doing what the Utah people do, and that's mostly like hunting during this fall, and then going snowboard during the winter, and then fishing during the spring and summer. So that's what I pretty much do now. Is I fish during the spring and summer, hunt during the fall and winter, and I snowboard during the winter. That's just keeps me busy.
That's what's up. And Tech's a workaholic, man. It's even a blessing that he could actually be on the call with us. Like he's usually working right now. So this is a cool thing that we got going, that he can chime in, he can give you hunting tips. I'm trying to get my Hunger Games on with my bow and arrow action. So Tech not only does like shotgun and all that, like fishing, and he knows how to skin the ducks and all the game that he gets, but he also does bow and arrow, or is it bow and arrow? Is that what crossbow? No.
Archery.
Archery, yes. So that's another
Yeah,
thing.
archery hunt for a big game.
Yep. The five guys that are present here on this podcast, we span from like all the whole different types of spectrums. So we got a hunter, a fisherman on the squad, and it's just really, really cool, man. We're a unique bunch, I would say.
I think I'm the youngest one here, so I'm used to doing all the booties. When I lived with Will and Notice, they kind of trapped me in a lot of senses.
Yeah.
So now it's not even they don't have to trap me anymore. I do it willingly.
Oh man, yep.
Yeah, I think one thing that was really cool about all five of us is that we all mix, and we have a lot of great experiences when it comes to mixing and hanging out, especially when Tech and Notice came down to Kansas City, I think 2 or 3 years ago. I'm still trying to recover from that night. Something else. My therapist says that I need to, breathe because of my anxiety over that night. But dude, there was a water shortage here in Kansas City, and I hope and pray that we never have one again next to me, guys.
And yeah, that drought was epic. One of the water lines bursted after the Kansas City Royals won the World Series, so that's why we had a water shortage at our mix.
Man.
Yeah, we got to fire the dude that bottled the gava that night. I don't know who he was.
We need to jump his ass.
Who was that jerk that did that?
Who did it?
I don't know. Some guy from Reno.
There's two of us.
I don't know. Some guy from Reno, Nevada.
I just know that we were all sitting up at the beginning at the beginning of it, and then at the end it looked like we were in a baseball.
Sleepover.
Everybody was
Sleepover.
And then we had a sleepover slumber party.
Holiday slumber party.
The only thing missing was the blankets, guys.
Oh my goodness, dude. Yeah.
If you think about it, that's how we all met, was around the Cava Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how we built our friendship.
That's true. That's true. So all those people knocking it, man. You know what I'm saying? Look, we're a direct result of that. You know what I'm saying? That's our culture. It brought us together, and we're still friends from now. Like, who has a group text that spans like what 6-7 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real.
I don't know, man. I don't think very many. I think that that makes this podcast unique. You know, just like you said, like what are the people you know have been texting each other for 6 or 7 years outside of them being married or in a relationship, right?
Mhm. Yep. That's true. And this, that group text message has been integral in all our lives for these many years. And then I guess I'll just go ahead and introduce myself now. My first name is Stephanodis. I don't know if it was a cousin of mine, but they chopped it off and they just called me Notice as a nickname. I think it was Tech or gave me the nickname of Notice or something. I can't remember, but it's just been a nickname of mine. But family members and stuff, they call me Moa or Namoa, but I would just go by Notice, just for short. I grew up in Reno. I'm from Reno with Tech. Me and Tech grew up together out there in Reno. We're cousins, family, and Tech and I lived in New York City for a while. We worked on off-Broadway children's show. It was the longest. It still is the longest running off-Broadway show in New York City. It's called the Gazillion Bubba Show. Tech was the lighting designer and tech over there, and I was the sound designer and sound engineer over there. But we worked out there for several years, and like I said, we met Paul. Like I introduced Tech to Paul when we drove from New York City down to Philadelphia, and we hung out with Paul. Met Paul around the Cava Bowl and found out that he had statues all over Philadelphia City. And yeah, so that's Paul and I, or Tech and I, we've been in the entertainment and film and commercial business for a long time now. We worked with a lot of different companies and productions all over the world. Tech's traveled, on tour with production companies and myself as well. But yeah, now my nickname, or they call me the Fuckamuna King of Fuckamuna, because just everything I seem to do is like just be Fuckamuna, like this right here, a podcast. Who would ever thought about doing a podcast, dude? It's just one big old Fuckamuna stage, man. But nah, it's cool. It's been a blessing. But yeah, and then our boy Will Kofe, Coach, aka Coach, he is on the road, but we'd love to bring him in, try to get him when he gets to a safe spot where he can chime in and talk with us. That's a little bit about a background of us, and then as our show goes, you'll get to know a little bit more about it, and that's it for who we are.
All right, moving on to the next segment of the Encouragers podcast. We'd like to touch up on some of the current events and news that's going on in our world. Today, we were all talking about this earlier today, the sad news coming out of LA area, Southern Cali. Nipsey Hussle passed away, was gunned down. Just very sad considering all the things that he's into, and what he was about to pretty much do was promote something for the community. And for him to go that way is just very sad,
So the story, what happened, Joe?
So he was out in front of his. So he has a bunch of clothing business, and he owns the buildings. So there's a couple other buildings that pay him rent. He was out front, and some guy pulled up and shot him 6 times. And at the hospital, they pronounced him dead. So it's just really sad, just because someone who has always promoted self-worth, your ability to create a brand for yourself, so you don't have to be owned by anybody else. He went out like that. That's pretty sad. especially being in like the hood type of area, you know.
Okay, so just so that listeners know, Tech, he's getting into DJ, and he has, a strong background in music production. He's produced songs for several different artists around the country in reggae and country music, and like, Tech, you being into the music scene and involved in the music scene, what is it to hear something about like Nipsey Hussle? What does his music mean to you?
With the Hustle thing, is like what he's trying to do for his community, like trying to do something positive for his community, man. For him,
We lost you here, Tech.
do I keep cutting out?
Yeah, you keep cutting out, bro.
Maybe I shouldn't talk about it.
Oh, yeah. So I want to play this clip real quick. You're gonna hear the audio about Nipsey Hussle when he was asked about his rap career and what he was doing. So let's take a minute. We'll listen to this real quick.
Standing right here is a guy who looks like Snoop Dogg. Damn. But he ain't Snoop Dogg. Well, you do look.
I get that all the time.
What's your name, man? You new and upcoming, but you're at this summit. What's your name? Where you from?
My name Nipsey Hussle. I'm from LA, Slauson and Crenshaw area. You know.
Okay, well, Nipsey Hussle, that's named after Nipsey Russell, the comedian.
Correct. Yes.
So talk a little bit about yourself, man. What brings you up here, up and coming, and how come you're not blinging and having all kind of crazy diamonds and all that? I guess you here to get your money right, huh?
All the time. I mean, all that is cool for the image and all that, but all them is liabilities. You feel me? I'd rather invest in some real estate. You know what I'm saying? Something
wait, can you repeat that again, man? You're up and coming artist. What did you say you want to do?
I say invest in some assets as opposed to trick off my money on some liabilities like diamonds. You know what I'm saying? Cars that lose value as soon as you drive them off the lot.
So you're trying to get land.
Exactly, homie. A real asset. Take care of my peoples, cause it look good, but at the end of the day, you losing value, homie. It ain't appreciating. It's depreciating.
When I heard that clip of him talking about building up his community and investing in property and stuff like this is like, it totally told me that he was on a different level of thinking versus the rappers that talk about money and chains and all this. And what are some of your takes on the video that you just heard just now, Paul?
I think that it's just sad because he's definitely something that is very refreshing to the your regular typical rap artist, and so he's gonna be missed for that. It's just too bad to see that happen to someone, to get their time and their impact cut short, especially when they're bringing something fresh to the scene. Maybe not music wise, but definitely coming from a different perspective. Like you talk about him as a businessman and just other things that seem to be more important, So to see that is just very tragic,
Not only just a businessman, but to bring business back to his community.
Yeah.
Try to change his community around,
Yeah.
Especially like in where he's from, Crenshaw. Try to do something positive to turn that place around.
No, go ahead, Joe. Go ahead. What's your thoughts?
When you think about it, there really aren't very many, hip hop or rap artists that really go back to their community after they make it big. He made it big, but stayed in his community and tried to, create programs to help inner city youth kind of get out of the situation that a lot of them face when it comes to gangs, or joining gangs and getting shot, going to jail for petty little things. So, give him a lot of respect for that, and especially dropping the knowledge that he did about, real estate, like he said. One thing that he says in that little interview he did was that, he doesn't really care for jewelry because he thinks of that as like a liability, something that can't grow with time, and just makes you think that, what it is that we're doing to kind of try to better ourselves, trying to not necessarily get to his level, but try to make our way towards that. You know what I'm saying?
What is your thoughts on? Do you guys think he should have been in the community, or should he just left and been on his own?
I feel like his impact will be felt. Even though he was ahead of his time in that sense, that people couldn't necessarily understand or were necessarily ready for his message. The thing is his message will live on. At some point, people will see what he was about. So I definitely feel like his impact will be felt, and that's a good thing. It's just unfortunate that it has to be felt with him passing, not continuing to build it.
Mm.
And maybe other artists will follow in his footsteps and continue on his legend.
Yeah.
Continue on pursuing his dream in bettering the community.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's hope so. Let's hope so. Because it can go one or two ways. Either people are going to follow him or people are going to be like, see, that's why I don't do that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
That's what happened.
you know, it's like, we got to be real, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it sounds good and all that we want someone to carry the torch, but nobody's trying to get shot, you know?
Yeah.
So at the same time, that's where I feel like his impact will be felt, whether someone follows in his footsteps or not.
Mhm.
His message will resonate, even with him not being here. It's just, it would have been a lot better to see him continue to push his message than for it to end abruptly, you know?
Yeah. And I can see the other side of it too, you know, like for instance, if I was an up and coming rapper and I was making, you know, $10,000 or $15,000 per show, and I wasn't going back to my hood as much, that would kind of make me think like, oh man, do I really want to go back there and get shot and I can't provide for my family, you know, my kids and stuff? You know, everyone is different. I'm not going to fault anybody for not wanting to go back, but you know, I'm sure that there are things that they can do, like with, for instance, for Kevin Durant. You know, he has foundations in OKC and where he lived in Washington D.C., where he has somebody, you know, take charge of that, to where he just funnels the money there and they take care of that, where so he doesn't have to go back. You know what I'm saying? And I can respect that. So
Yeah.
I guess it kind of comes down to the person who's those big things, whether or not they want to go back. Like, look at Snoop. Like, he doesn't really go back. He lives in Calabasas.
Yeah.
He has like his own little football league, which he has a show on Netflix. I can't remember the name of his show, but that's a good show. You should check it out. But you know, he doesn't necessarily go back to the hood. You know, a lot of his work has to deal with like inner city youth and the kids, trying to help them get away from a lot of the violence and gangs that he grew up with. So I could see some artists going towards that way instead of having to go back. You know.
True. Like, where do you draw the line too of how much help you're going to pour back into your community? You know, because there's always going to be haters. You know.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I was going to speak on that to an extent because, I mean, just having been, you know, a professional athlete, you know, like people are always going to hate, or not even just hate, but people are going to have expectations of you. And I feel like, because I'm from the Bay Area, but I live out here in Phoenix now, you know, I know that there's people that feel like I should go back to where I'm from and invest in that. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's all about affecting the community you're a part of. You know, I feel like I'm a part of the Phoenix community now. You know, I give back in the form of spending time and coaching football here in Phoenix. So, like, at the end of the day, it's just all what you feel your cause is, you know? Some people may not feel the same way that Nipsey did, but let's just hope that everybody feels strongly about whatever they believe in, that they'll do something to help better the people around them.
Yeah, something is better than nothing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say when you chime in, Tech? What were we gonna say, Tech?
It probably depends on their background too, because for Nipsey, he was a Crip.
Yeah.
So going back to his neighborhood, you know, he had a lot of history back there. He probably made a lot of enemies back in his days before he became a big time rapper.
True.
So
Yeah.
you know, going back personally, like showing his face around the neighborhood, you know, his enemies was probably just looking for him, hunting for him. And today they probably caught him slipping.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. It's just like we were talking about earlier too in our group chats. Like sometimes it's bigger. You know, there's bigger things than what's on the surface. So like finding someone, like you talk about enemies, but I mean, I can't speak on that because I'm not a part of that game. But it's just like it's bigger than whatever that beef is, Crip and blood. You know what I mean? You see someone and they're impacting the community and they're doing good. It's like, it's almost like I would think they would get a pass, you know? But
Yeah.
again, I'm not a part of that culture, so I can't really speak on that. I'm just saying it's just unfortunate, you know, because if he was a rival, I mean, I'm just putting myself in that perspective. I'm not a part of that culture, but I would like to think that somebody doing so many good things for the community could get a pass in that sense, you know?
But then you have those people that they don't give a rat's. They don't care about
true.
them.
True.
Like who are you? You know what I mean? Who are
exactly.
you?
Yeah.
They probably
And that's
want
the reality.
that
That's the reality of what happened today.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah,
care
they
who he
probably want
was and
that.
what he was doing.
And they probably wanted that the bragging right that they got him.
Yeah. And a big thing also could be, someone just from a very low income area was like, this dude is doing it big, man. I'm hella jealous. And he just let that hate kind of fester. And I just kind of feel like it was one of those things where this dude is doing big, big things and he's not helping me out. I'm gonna go take him out and try to get what I can. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that really makes sense what I'm trying to say, but I mean, just to shoot somebody you don't know 6 times while he's out in front of his business, you know what I'm saying? That just kind of sounds, calculated. Like they were waiting for him to slip up, like you were saying.
It's super sad. I'm here in Riverside, California. We're down here for Nessa's engagement thing, and just a couple miles, an hour away from here, all that stuff went down. I'm gonna read you J. Cole's tweet. He said here's a tweet from J. Cole. He goes, Nipsey, you a legend. I respect and admire your career path and what you did for the neighborhood. My heart broke today when I saw the news. I'm praying for your loved ones. This was supposed to be the year we got one in. God had bigger plans for you. Chance the Rapper chimed in, RIP, Nipsey, man. RIP, RIP, Nipsey, man. This is tragic. We got all the different athletes, chiming in. Kid Ink, rest in peace, my brother Nipsey, aka Erm. Still don't see him real. You were a big motivation to us all. You played a really big part of my story, getting me where I am today. Been nothing but love since 15. Your name will live forever. Prayers out to the family. I love you, bro. And even today, even like the Clippers during the Clippers game today, Clippers played a tribute video for Nipsey Hussle on the jumbotron.
It's crazy thinking about it because it's like I was watching the Texas Tech Raider game yesterday, and at the end of the game, they panned to one of the players. What I'm saying, going over to the crowd, and Nipsey Hussle himself was at the game.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't want to be the one to say this, especially in light of what's going on. But I would say it for context. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you put yourself in positions, you make decisions in your life, and sometimes it may not affect you back at that point. So it's like yeah, it's tragic on some level, but a part of it is kind of like the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? Like you live a certain life that's part of the streets, and then the streets come back. It's like, yeah, it's tragic, especially because for someone who didn't start off the right way, who's finding their way back and finding a way to influence and inspire people to be better. Like, yeah, it's tragic on that sense, but another part of it that again, I hate to be the one to bring it up, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle, but part of that is the life you choose, like the life you choose, that there's consequences for everything, and I mean, we don't know the full details of everything, but it sounds like it's something that has to do with it that is gang related with his past. It's not like, it's not like he got hit by a stray bullet. You know what I mean? It's like a part of it was they came for him. What it sounds like. So I mean, in that sense, it's part of it is you can make better decisions. We all make bad decisions and they come back and haunt us. So, I mean, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and all those affected. And at the end of the day, we're here to talk about it. I'm not taking sides and saying like, oh, that's what you get for your past decisions, but that's the reality of it. The reality of it is certain decisions he made seem like they came back on him.
Yeah. And that should be motivation for a lot of the younger youth who might be listening to our podcast to realize, if you ain't about that life, don't be about it because it can sneak up on you, man. Like, you could be a gangbanger until you're 20 years old, make money, and then 13 years down the road, some little dude you beat up is going to remember you, and then you have all this money, and he's going to take it from you. It's sad. Worst part about it is we're all going to remember him for the next week or two, and then everyone's just going to move on and forget what happened. So, man, like you said, man, it's the nature of the beast.
I mean, that's kind of it. That's like, that'd be kind of like me complaining about the like the injuries that have to do with the dangers of playing sports. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
you know, I'm not trying to sound insensitive, you know, because I feel like it really is a tragedy. But you know, part of it is kind of like we're not going to be surprised. Like nobody's going to be surprised if I get CTE. You know what I mean? Because I played football for so many years. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
it's part of the territory that comes with the life that I chose. You know.
yeah,
So, I mean, in that sense, you know, we just have to put things into perspective. Like, if we want to avoid having certain outcomes, then I feel like it starts with making better decisions.
You know, and I feel like not only that, but his association, he was starting to lean towards like a different type of association, more like business oriented, business. You know, like he partnered up with Puma recently. You know what I mean? The whole campaign with Puma that he partnered up with. Then he was partnering up with Gary Vee, which is motivational type thing. And
Yeah.
but like I felt like even though he was still progressing away from that life that he had chose, like it's still just by association when he had back in the day, people did not forget that, and we see what happened tonight.
I mean, we'll see what happens, you know, as we find out more details about exactly what happened to him. You know, we can talk about that more later, but you know, it's definitely tragic.
Hustle and Motivate was one of my favorite songs, and we'll get out of this segment with that song. Here's a snippet of Hustle and Motivate by Nipsey Hussle. Rest in peace, Nipsey. Thank you for all your music.
Rest in peace.
Peace.
Rest in peace, Nipsey. Thoughts and prayers to the family and everybody else.
Pull up in motorcades. I got a show today. It's all I'm trying to do. Hustle and motivate. Choppers a throwaway. Hustle the overweight. That's why they follow me, huh? They think I know the way. Cause I took control of things. Ballin' the solo way. And if you pattern my trend, I make you my protege. Crossing that soldier race. Niggas don't know them days. Take you in back of the buildings. Make you expose your rage. Take you across the tracks. Make you explode the face. Now you official now. But you got a soul to save. I just been cooking that new. I'm about to drop in a few. Think if I call it the great, the people gon' call it the truth. I ain't really trip on the credit. I just paid all of my dues. I just respected the game. Now my name all in the news. Tripping on all of my moves. Quote me on this, got a lot more to prove. Remember I came in this bitch, fresh out the county with nothing to lose.
For nothing, no. For the crown, oh, yeah. But I don't do this shit for nothing. No, not at all. Yeah. But my money real, that you do.
So this next part of the show, we're going to talk about current events and what's going on around in the world. And first thing that comes to my mind is the assault rifles that are banned in New Zealand after the massacre out there. Did you guys hear about that?
Like,
yeah.
can you guys explain to me exactly some dude, was it a Palangi guy or what?
So he's a white supremacist.
Out in New Zealand.
Out in New Zealand, went to different mosques and was shooting people inside as they were praying. I can't remember the number. Dude, I think it was like 49 or so people, 49. I might be wrong on the number, but had died and about 100 people were injured. So the Prime Minister of New Zealand instituted a ban of all assault rifles and guns. And there's a group, a gang called the Mongrels, who are refusing to give up their weapons as protection. And me personally, I agree with them. I think banning guns sends a really bad message. Like if I were in that situation and I had a form of protecting myself, it would be nice to know that I could, as opposed to, oh no, I can't protect myself or my family. That's one reason why I love living in the United States, is I have the Second Amendment right to protect myself and bear arms when I bear arms. But I just feel like they're creating a bad precedent out there in New Zealand. Like, okay, so we're going to let every bad person know that we're taking away all the guns from all the law-abiding citizens. I'm a bad guy. I'm going to go and do whatever I want now. I'm going to go to the liquor store, go and rob people. You're you're taking people's right to protect themselves away. I just don't think that's right.
But my question is, there's other guns that can help protect you besides those assault rifles. What do you think about that?
Yeah, because they didn't ban all guns. They just banned the assault rifles. Like you could have shotguns and stuff for if you're using it for like hunting and stuff, or some 22 rifles. But I don't think they're like the assault rifles. I think is what they were banning.
Now, is the assault rifles the one with massive clips, like Rambo clips, so you can go up and just Rambo?
So are they banning AR-15s?
Are they
or what?
banning the
Glock
Uzis?
19s? Like AK-47s? Like what?
Are they banning the Uzis?
Like, is it the clips? Is it the amount of clips in a gun, or is it just the type of gun?
I think it's the way it fires.
Oh, rapid fire?
So automatic,
Yeah,
like
like a rapid
semi-automatic
fire
weapons?
versus like an automatic versus semi-automatic, or just a single shot.
Mm.
I think that's what determines on what makes it an assault rifle. But I could be wrong.
Oh, so I looked it up. It's military-style semi-automatic weapons, all high-capacity ammunition magazines, and all parts that allow weapons to be modified into kinds of guns used to kill 50 people at 2 mosques. Ooh. So I don't think they're referring to AR-15s because you can't get extended clips on those.
Well, you can have
Maybe
a bump stock. You can have a bump
So they
stock,
banned
right?
AR-15s?
Huh?
They banned the AR-15s?
I mean, if they're saying that that's like a military style weapon, which I don't think it is, because I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to read the article to see what type of, but it's because it's kind of broad.
But this is the same problem they had with they had here when they had all the school shootings.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what makes it an assault rifle?
Yeah.
That was the biggest debate. Is like what makes it a rifle, an assault rifle? What makes it? And no one could really like answer that question.
Because you can take a shotgun and make it go, shoot hecka fast, right? Can't you, Tech?
Yeah, you can get an automatic shotgun and just shoot.
So basically,
Pow,
you're
pow, pow,
saying
pow.
it's open to interpretation what an assault rifle is?
Yes.
Pretty much, because remember, if I remember correctly, when they had all the school shootings here in the U.S.,
Yeah.
like they tried to do all the bans on assault rifles, like they couldn't determine what kind of rifle was an assault rifle. They
Some
couldn't
people were
really
saying AR-15s were assault rifles. Some people were saying they're not.
Yeah,
classified.
so they couldn't really classify what is an assault rifle and what is not. So I think that's the problem they're probably going to have down there. Is what my guess would be.
Yeah. It was annoying to me that they kept saying like an AR-15 is an assault rifle. It's not an assault rifle. Like AR doesn't stand for assault rifle. It stands for Armor Light 15. So it's just there's a lot of people that don't have like the correct understanding of knowledge. There we go, knowledge. Like you can't go on CNN and be like, this guy's shooting a shotgun. He's saying, yeah, this is the most deadly assault rifle there is. And I'm like, that's a shotgun, dog. Like, that's not an assault rifle. So it's like people will jump on the bandwagon and get all emotional about it. But I think the issue doesn't relate to the guns. I think it relates to more of the individual with his or her mental illness. I think that's what is causing a lot of these people to do things like that.
Like Paul was saying, he little bit interjected. He said we should, dog is sequel. Like serious.
Yeah.
I mean, but what's the answer? Instead of banning the guns, then just make it harder to get guns? At the end of the day, bad people are going to find a way to get their hands on stuff to do bad things,
True, yeah.
I feel like we can't sit here and ban guns because there's a few people that just hate their lives and don't value other people's lives and, would go to any means to do that, to harm people.
That's true.
I feel like making the law stricter is not going to fix nothing. I feel like it doesn't even give us peace of mind because, like, if they're banning certain guns after an incident, that's not going to make me feel safer. like Joe alluded to when we're talking about, I mean, come on, we wouldn't want to give up our guns if after a shooting, if that's something we can rely on to protect our families. I'm not turning that in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like, I feel like it is what it is. There's crazy people in this world that do crazy shit. Like, changing laws is not necessarily going to make things better. I mean, I suppose we can make it harder for people to get guns. But I mean, half the time when people do shootings, they obtain the guns illegally or they do illegal stuff to get the guns.
Yeah.
So,
Very true.
I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. We lived in kind of a screwed up. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't even say it's a screwed up world, but there's some sick people out there that don't speak for everybody,
Right. Well, I hope New Zealand can get like some kind of closure, something going. But I know here in the States that won't fly, man. There'll be a civil war if that's happened out here.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
not
like
gonna happen out here.
yeah, and I don't like it either how some of these people come out and speak out and push their agenda. They use tragedy as a platform to say, oh, this is why we need to do this. Like in the moment, like let people have their time to mourn. We got all these politicians coming out saying, oh, this is why we need to have better gun laws. And it's kind of disrespectful in a sense because it's like they're using other people's deaths to try to push their point or their agenda, which could be completely different than how those people feel that died,
Let's keep New Zealand in our prayers.
It's time for movie reviews.
So, did any of you guys watch Captain Marvel yet? Did you guys check out that movie yet? What'd you guys think of Captain Marvel?
I thought it was dope. Please excuse my phone from doing backflips right now, but
Is your phone going off?
hella going on. I swear it's my phone, it's not me.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, Captain Marvel, you guys all saw it. Tech, have you seen Captain Marvel yet?
I have not seen Captain Marvel yet.
All right. So 3 of the 4 we've seen it. I honestly, I think they should have casted another lady for the Captain Marvel role. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, it was just the appetizer for the next Avengers movie. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I don't know if y'all ready for this 3-hour movie that's about to come out.
That's why I want to get into that. So, are you gonna sit there for 3 hours and watch the movie?
Hell to the yeah, I am.
Yeah, I'll sit there.
Hell to the yeah. I might have to go watch it before I take my kids because I'm not trying to get up and have no breaks or be interrupted.
So for real, I'm gonna do the earliest showing that I can, like on a Wednesday or something, just so I can do the dine-in where they bring you your food. Because if I have to sit there for 3 hours, I'm gonna get myself, some nachos, sit back and relax. I'm gonna bring some food from outside. You know what I mean? That's a long movie.
Yep.
They should give us some free popcorn for that because that's got to be the longest movie ever, right?
They should. Yeah. I don't know, but that's a long ass movie.
Hell yeah, 3 hours.
2 hours plus is long. So this one breaks the 3-hour mark.
Yeah.
Is this the Avengers?
Yep.
It's supposed to be 3 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 3 hours.
Did you guys hear that they're paying people like $1,000 to sit there and watch all of the is it Marvel? It's Marvel, right? All the Marvel movies leading up to Avengers Endgame.
I didn't hear anything about that. What's the big deal with that?
No, I'm just saying like they're paying people $1,000 to watch all of them in order, like chronological order.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought about signing up for it, but I was like, that's a lot of sitting, dude, and it's only $1,000. That's not that much to watch all those movies.
So I'll watch it for $1,000. But I mean, if that means you don't get no breaks or anything, yeah, that might be hard to get up and walk around.
Yeah, but dude, that's like 12 movies, dude. 2.5 hours long. That's like.
Hey man, some of us, Game of Thrones seasons about that long. Some of us been watched that much anyway. So I think.
Hey, I don't want to hear that. Hey, I know each and every one of y'all have sat at a kava circle longer than that. So I'm not trying to hear that. I can't sit still for X amount of hours when I first witnessed each and every one of you guys sit around a kava bowl for longer and stare at each other. So
yeah, that's true.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man.
Well, thanks for joining the Encouragers today. We'll be back next week with hip hop artist from Reno, Nevada. His name is Tease. Been in the game for about 9 years. And he'll be our next guest next week. See you then.
You're listening to the Encouragers Podcast Show.